All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to AV Crosstalk on AV Nation. Tonight we are doing a very special edition of the show. I'm here as your moderator. I am Kirsten Nelson. I'm the editor at large for Systems Contractor News Magazine, and I am pretty excited about this conversation because this debate has been raging for just years in our industry. Ever since that first plasma appeared on the horizon, the one that cost $80 million, it's time to talk about how we're going to get large scale video up on a wall or anywhere you want to use it. This has been a discussion that we've seen in churches, boardrooms, we've seen it in museums, pretty much anywhere you're going to want to use video. What are we going to do for it? Are we going to do a plasma display, an LCD display, or any of the other technologies? I saw some news today that OLED, we can always keep dreaming about it, but plasma does seem to be making inroads as LCD fades out. So there's still a lot going on in flat panel land, but projectors definitely allow for a different kind of image, and I think that they both still have places, and we really need to get the discussion going on where the best use of each technology is. So tonight on AV Crosstalk, we started this. This was founded by the guys from AV Nation that wanted to open a channel for discourse and debate that would, allow the industry experts to come on and talk about what the issues are in the industry. It was started by George Tucker and Josh Sarago, who are the producers of AV Crosstalk, and they have hosted and been a part of many ferocious debates on this very channel. So the way it works is we're going to have a discussion with our two guests that I'm announcing in a minute, and when you're done, you're going to vote for the winner on Twitter. You're going to use the hashtag AVCrosstalk, and you can choose your topic, either projectors or displays, or choose your favorite debater. And those two debaters are with us now. We have Malissa Dillman. She is from Kramer Electronics. She is training and education manager there. And we have Victoria Ferrari, who is with us from Synergy CT in Houston, some AV integrator there. So before I talk a little bit more about these ladies, I will talk about the format. First and foremost, all opinions of these participants are their own and not necessarily those of their employers, any affiliated trade organizations, AV Nation, or its sponsors. Secondly, this is a debate. It's presented here for your education and enjoyment. Any positions advocated or defended may not necessarily in whole or in part be those of the participants. So there's the legal, got that disclaimer out there. So flat panels, displays versus projectors. So tonight, debating both these two sides, we have Malissa. She will be defending the display side, which covers all manner of displays. Malissa has been with Kramer. She's been in the industry for over 15 years, and she is one of only a handful of women who are duly certified by Infocom with both the CTSD and CTSI. She was one of two women named Infocom's Top Women in AV in 2012, and then named the first and only Woman Educator of the Year in 2013 by Infocom. Malissa has worn many hats in the AV industry, beginning her career as an end user and working her way up from the field through sales and design into her dream job as an instructor for the past 4 years. A lot of you probably know Malissa, and so she'll be talking tonight about displays. Victoria Ferrari has been in the industry for 14 years. Most of her experience has been working for AV manufacturers, but she has recently ventured into systems design and integration at Synergy CT in Houston. Synergy CT is one of SCN Top 50's on-deck companies as of this year. Congratulations. Ding, ding. Watch for that. And she holds CTS and ISFC certifications. We've got some pretty qualified contenders here. Victoria will be arguing the side of projectors. The format for the debate tonight, Victoria, she's going to speak first, and she'll have 2 minutes to answer the first question. Melissa then has 2 minutes to counter that position, and then the battle begins. So, and the rules are, just to lay it out there, no kicking, no biting, no words that George might have to edit out later, just keep it tidy. And remember to cast your vote at the end for the winner on Twitter with the hashtag AVCrossTalk. Okay, let's get started. So, Victoria, I have a hard question for you. Why are projectors the best tool for classrooms and meeting rooms?
Well, let me start by saying, Kirsten, thank you for moderating the show tonight. I'm always so impressed with the media in our industry. And also thanks to George and Josh for inviting me to be on the show. And Melissa, my formidable opponent, thanks for being here too. I'm excited to have this debate with you. So why are projectors the best tool for classrooms and meeting rooms? Well, there's a lot of reasons why projectors are better in a variety of applications, but specifically in classrooms and meeting rooms, those rooms are typically housing more people, a lot of people, and they're bigger rooms usually. So, one of the things when you're designing a room is you have to take into account optimum viewing for the entire audience. The old guy way in the back and the people in the front. So and one of the things to design is the size of the display. So according to Infocom, the general rule of thumb is the 468 rule. The furthest viewer shouldn't be more than 4 times the height of the display for critical viewing, 6 times the height for detailed viewing, 8 times for general. Most classrooms or meeting rooms can be anywhere from 20 to 50 feet deep, let's say. For easy math, we'll say the furthest viewer is 30 feet away, and we'll say that they need detailed viewing. So 30 divided by 6 is 5 feet. So you'd need a 5-foot tall screen, and that would be, in 16:9, that's 123-inch diagonal, which I did the math in advance, so I'm not that good. And how much does a 123-inch flat panel display cost? 80 million, like Kirsten said, over $100,000, right? So, but with projection for less than $4,000 or $5,000, you can get a decent projector and screen. So long story short, projectors are better for classrooms and meeting rooms because you need a large display for optimum viewing in those environments, and flat panels just don't fit the bill.
Wow, all right. That was a pretty strong position. When we start talking about budget, it always gets a little bit wild. So, Melissa, how are you going to counter that?
Well, I want to thank you guys, and certainly thank AV Nation for letting us come on tonight and have this discussion. I didn't realize Victoria was going to make me do math, but that's okay. She makes some really good points, and I will agree with her that in extremely large environments, perhaps a projector and a screen work. However, I think today what we're really talking about is being able to make sure that everybody can see. And in order to make sure everybody can see, one of the things we run into now are huddle spaces. And I just read an article about huddle spaces are now outdoing regular conference rooms 10 to 1, meaning that the spaces are a little smaller and that people want to be able to use whatever device they have. So I can put in a flat panel, and then I can provide them with a collaborative tool so that everybody can see the images on their devices, which really cuts away from having viewing angle issues. It also is a little less expensive. It used to be that the larger flat panels were certainly out of an extreme budget, but today, CES, we saw a 70-inch 4K display for $2,000. So when you take the fact that I don't have to add the cost of a screen or the mounting hardware for screens and the electrical as well as the projector, the cost really comes down and it makes it much more beneficial. Not to mention the ease of use. People are familiar with how to use their flat panels. They have them at home. They're familiar with them. They understand them. I think they're more comfortable with them. So I think in classrooms there's something to be said about being able to let everybody have the perfect viewing angle, whether that's with the flat panel or the flat panel and their own device.
Wow, well That was very polite, very dignified and diplomatic answer, I have to say. We have a very nice group of debaters tonight. But now I'm going to ask a tougher question. Where can a flat panel be used that a projector definitely can't stack up? So, Melissa, is there an application where a flat panel is definitely the way you're going to go and there's no way a projector could handle it?
Okay, I like that question. So I would use a flat panel anywhere that I want more functionality. So perhaps I'm in engineering or design or real estate, and I want to be able to do touch overlay. Maybe I want to do whiteboarding. I certainly cannot do that with a projector and a screen. So those are environments where the flat panel is an easy winner. Again, it gives me a whole lot more functionality than just one large display with a projector. Not to mention, doesn't have quite the same maintenance issues. So no cleaning the filters.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, whew. Now that was a TKO, because when you talk about maintenance issues, I mean, projector fans, disaster, you know? So that's something definitely we need to talk about. But I know that Victoria, she is in her corner, and she is working on her response to this. How can a projector actually be used in that very application?
So that was a good answer and very tricky because it's not what I thought you were going to say. But yes, actually you can do annotation and gesturing and touch with a projector. You know, there's Smart Technologies has the ability to project onto their smartboard and do some functionality that way. There's also a product by eBeam that you can turn any whiteboard into a touch-sensitive display, and you can project onto that. So if you're talking about functionality, I mean, I think, you know, a projector and screen as far as interactivity, you could do it either way. What I thought you were going to say was, you know, ambient light. So if you know, if there is any environment where it's more challenging to use projection, it is in high ambient light environments. But there are several projection options created for combating ambient light. For example, Screen Innovations Black Diamond, Stewart Film Screen Firehawk, and then DMP Supernova. You know, the list goes on. Those are some of the leaders in the space. And if you've never seen these screens in action, I mean, they look just as good as LCD or LED technology. And on top of it, you know, LEDs and LCDs don't always work great with a lot of ambient light either, because the front of them is, you know, made of glass and it's reflective, and they can have the same issues, you know, as reflecting those overhead lights and be just as detrimental to viewing. So there's that.
Oh, Kristen, let me come back.
All right. Well, as your moderator, I can let you rebut.
Oh, okay. And I love what she said. She's absolutely right. Spoken like a true sales girl. E-beam, smartboard, you're absolutely right. But you know what happens to that cost? It gets extremely high. So I agree. There's a lot of new collaboration technology coming to market that is far less expensive. So, but I agree that you certainly can. You can add those added products to get some functionality. It's just all about the cost.
Okay. We're just gonna have to clear the air after that one because that was getting pretty rowdy. But it is true. It's all about the cost. But let's talk about something more nebulous. Let's talk about client happiness. Which technology is actually easier to use? I'm going to let Melissa start with this one. Which technology is easier for end users to operate, and you know which technology is therefore requested more by end users, and you know actually makes them happier?
Well, not to be sexist, but a lot of these corporate executives are men. And they all love to talk about how large their displays are. So those displays, you can have a beautiful 4K. You can go up to 110 inch, and it can become a competition of who has the biggest, brightest, best image. So, and I think it's also something they're familiar with at home. So maybe on a larger scale. So I think familiarity-wise, it's not as foreign to them as perhaps a projector and a display and a screen.
Okay, bragging rights. Bragging rights are important indeed. Definitely, for any end user, they want to talk about size. They want to go on about that. So, Victoria, what do you think? What technology makes the clients happier?
Well, to Melissa's point, if you want to talk about size, how about 40 feet by 90 feet? That's the largest seamless screen that Stewart Film Screen can provide. So, CEO at Chevron's got 110-inch 4K in his office. Well, BP can get 40 feet by 90 feet. So when you want to talk about big, projection's definitely going to be LCD every time. I mean, also it comes down to, those LCD panels are only going to be able to go up to a certain size in the future because there's only so much weight that a wall can handle. So I mean, people still have issues putting in even 90 inches now sometimes. Certain walls just can't handle all that weight. So as far as what really makes the customer happy, well, I never just go off of what my customer says they think that they want because, they'll go buy a TV at Best Buy and think that that's the best thing for them. What makes them happy is to be productive, is for their people to be productive in these spaces. And in order to be productive, they have to be able to read their Excel spreadsheets. They have to be able to, read PowerPoints and read detail on the screen. And they can only do that if they have appropriately sized display for their room, for their viewers, and, with the right ambient light control. And that can be done, that size can be reached with projection.
Okay. Fair point. Projection can get bigger. It can dominate. But, all right, so we've talked a lot about end users up to this point, but I think we're going to have a lot of people out there who are AV integrators and consultants. And I think let's talk about why they would choose one of these technologies. I think we'll switch it back to Melissa just to keep the balance, the tennis match going here. But what reasons would cause an integrator to use an LCD over a projector? Or, well, a flat panel. It says LCD in my notes, but let's make it a general flat panel term, please.
A general flat panel, no matter what its flavor.
Exactly.
I think to something Victoria said about the weight issues in the walls, I strongly suggest that any of the integrators having that issue, they probably want to go to an Infocom install class because we certainly can solve that. That's probably not as difficult as it may seem. So I don't think that's so much an issue. I think that from an integration side, the biggest challenge with their flat panel is making sure it gets delivered and that UPS hasn't done a bounce test for you. But again, just some good management, some good protocols to ensure that you're checking your product as it comes in will certainly prevent any issues, especially on the super large sizes. I think you can also, if you start talking about integrating wireless technologies into these, and you start talking about doing BYOD and providing collaborative tools so that we don't have to deal with those issues with ambient light, like Victoria mentioned. If I can have the device in my hand, I can see it and I can analyze however I'd like. So I think from that standpoint, if I put a wireless technology onto my flat panel, the cost of cabling certainly has dropped dramatically, and certainly time for installation has dropped dramatically if it's in the right environment. So as long as it's designed well, I think it's a great way to go.
All right, that was a little bit sassy there with the installation challenge. It's true. Maybe there is a little more train up, put a heavier display on the wall, and yeah, it does in the end save time. You can efficiently install these displays and get a lot done and try to make some money. That's the objective, right? Save time, make money. So, Victoria, how are you going to counter that? Why would an integrator choose a projector over a flat panel display?
So there's lots of reasons, and I'll get to that in just a second. I want to address the install issue. So when you're talking about construction, sure, there's load-bearing walls that have the right studs that are separated in the right locations, and you can easily put in put on the mount the right way and have the wall reinforced. But when you're talking about an internal wall or a wall for a smaller room, that's there have been issues where it's like, okay, we need to get in here a structural design engineer to make sure that this wall can handle a 300-pound TV. So it's more than just being able to hang and bang a TV. So yeah, why would a integrator want to sell a projector and screen over an LCD panel? Well, number one, you get more money up front. So yeah, it costs the customer more, but that's what we're all here to do, is to make money. So you're giving the customer the right solution, so the value is there. But also for the integrator, they make more money. But on top of it, there's service calls too that goes with projectors. You have to replace lamps and replace filters, and that gives you account control. So the more you get into an account, there's more opportunities to discover. So overall, it's just makes more business sense to sell something that is more valuable for the end user, and makes the integrator money as well, and gives them account control. So it's a win-win for everybody.
That's a powerful argument, because it is true. You can get kind of more for your money and more physical SKUs with projectors. So it's true. Let's spread them everywhere. All right. So I got to use this. Okay, so it's time for our final lightning round, ladies. We got to wrap this up, but we got to talk about the future. What do you think the future has in store for these technologies? And so we're going to have Melissa do the flat panel displays, and Victoria, you can chime in afterward about projectors.
All righty. So what do I think about the future? I think that I see a lot of projector manufacturers coming out of the projection space. I think that we even saw at CES this year a couple of the big boys have entered into the flat panel space. So I think that's certainly a wave of the future. I think something we haven't talked about that certainly could impact flat panel display installs in the near future is HDMI 2.0. 2.0 introduces dual streaming, and with dual streaming, I'm not real sure how you're going to be able to do that on a projector and a screen unless we go back to the old style lenticular screen. So with 2.0 and dual streaming, perhaps I can have my display at the front of the room, and I might be able to get my presentation notes at one angle while the rest of the audience is seeing only the presentation. Maybe. It's a technology that's certainly coming at us, but not one that's been fully developed yet that we've seen implemented. So I think it's certainly something for the future.
Yeah, that sounds cool, actually. Even I could dig that. But all right, I believe in the future there. But I'd like to hear what Victoria has to say about the future of projectors.
Yeah, and that is a good point about the LCD panels. I'll have to look into that some more, into HDMI 2.0 and what all it's bringing. Good things, maybe bad things. As far as the future for projection, 4K obviously and 8K, it's like, why would you look at that high of pixel dense material on a tiny little display? How are you really going to see a difference? It's even, integrators and other people don't really even see a difference on like a 60-inch display between 720 and 1080p. So, if you're talking about 4K and 8K, it's got to be on a big display to make it really make sense and to be immersive. People are saying, oh, these curved LCD panels are so cool. Well, they've had curved projection screens since like the 90s, and they're way bigger and they're way more of a radius so that you can get a truly immersive experience. So the other thing about the future of projection is, laser projectors are getting better and more available, and that brings down those maintenance costs that that you and Kirsten had mentioned earlier. So there's that. Another thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's going to go away or what's going to happen with it, but HD-based tea is being more, it's getting more popular and is being, is kind of getting adopted, but not really big yet. And I've only seen an HD-based tea connector on projectors. Haven't seen that on any LCD panels. So yeah, so the future, I think, for projection is definitely big and bright.
Wow. Well, woo. That was a pretty good one. All right. Well, future is big and bright, and possibly curved. And yeah, we have to wrap this up for tonight. It has been a fascinating debate, and I have to thank both my debaters for being champions in their own corner. I think we walk away wondering what really is the better solution. And in fact, the discourse should continue and can continue. We are going to do an after show after this hangout. So if you want to tune in and join us for our Google Hangout, you can keep your eye on the AV Nation Twitter feed. Before you do that, though, you got to vote. You got to go on Twitter and use the hashtag AVCrossTalk, and you got to vote. Did the projector side win? Did Victoria justify that? Or did Melissa dominate with the crazy, amazing display category? So if you want to talk about more and hang out with us for the casual part of our evening, for the after show, watch the AV Nation Twitter, and there will be a link to join us for a big group Google Hangout. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.